What's up, music fans? We are back again this week with another edition of last week's album. My name is Kevin,
I'm Derek.
and we'll kick things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Derek.
Cheers, buddy.
And cheers, everyone watching at home. This week, we are talking about an album by a band called Tijuana Panthers. The name of the album is Semi-Sweet, and this is their sophomore album. They are a Long Beach, California-based garage pop trio. Their debut album was called Max Baker, came out in 2010, and they are on a really good label, actually, with some other cohorts like Bassdrum of Death and Hani El Khatib that we here at last week's album are also fans of. The name of that label is Innovative Leisure. So with that, let's jump into their sophomore album. Semi-Sweet sounds like a 50s beach party cranked up on cigarettes and cocaine. What do you think, Derek?
Oh, that's good. I think this album sounds like a punk Beach Boys grunge thing all mashed together into a nice ball of rock and roll.
Yeah, they definitely got a throwback sort of 50s Beach Boys beach sound, but also some modern touches with lo-fi, garage, things like that. So yeah, that's what they sound like. Which brings us to key tracks. I have Wall Walker, Boardwalk, and Forbidden Fruit. What'd you have, Derek?
Oh, those are good, but I went with Father Figure, One Way Ticker, and Juvy Jeans.
One Way Ticket, I think you mean, but that's okay.
One Way Ticket, that is correct.
Awesome.
There is a bad typo.
No worries, no
I
worries.
think I didn't say One Way Tickler. That would have been weird.
What's a one-way tickler?
I have no idea.
I think we need to find out and report back next week. Anyway, Wall Walker, we'll start off. It has these frenzied surf rock guitars, super tight drums, and this call and response sort of echoing. These hyena yelps in the middle and then at the end, which are a nice touch. And Tijuana Panthers kind of does this on a few different songs, these sort of yelping, yelling, backup vocals that are a nice touch. And just thought this was a good early intro on the album to their mix of this old school surf rock with new school garage rock. What was your first key track, Derek?
My first one was Father Figure. It was a little, if you could say, one of the more mellower songs on there, but it still had a good driving beat. I thought there were some really good vocal melodies going on. And kind of, as the title kind of implies, it was kind of about good and bad father relationships. And, I just thought it was a really solid song, front to back.
Right on. Right on. Good ode to father figures. Next up, I have Boardwalk, which by the title sounds a lot like what you would think. It's sort of this feel-good throwback, boardwalky track. And it's got these pining, yearning, teen idol vocals and these bursts of heartwarming backup vocals. Again, this sort of yup, yup kind of yelpy thing they do a lot, which I enjoy. And then these sketchy electric guitars, snappy drums, and a groovy bass line. And this was one of the tracks that was more of this like wholesome 50s straightforward throwback. One of the two that I can recall from the album. And while I don't love that, I think it changes things up a bit from the dirtier, edgier touch they put on the throwbacks surf rock. So I like this one. It's not my favorite, but it's a nice mix and getting into that more wholesome vibe from the 50s. What was your next key track, Derek?
My next key track is One Way Ticket. And that one, once again, kind of combines the surf influence with a lot of the punk there. There's a lot of distorted vocals with bass-driven guitars and hi-hat drums going on. Just a real high-energy song. Really grabbed my attention.
Yeah, I also dug that one as well. But for my final key track, this is my favorite track on the album, actually. It's called Forbidden Fruit. And to me, it sounds like this mashup of early Weezer, late White Stripes, and Buddy Holly all rolled into one. for a really great track. These dark, eerie drums started off, and then this wiry, skitchy guitar. Almost sounds like it's played underwater, which is a nice little surf rock touch. And falsetto vocals mixed with the cooing yelps again. And overall, just a solid mashup of a lot of really good old and new sounds that make this definitely a standout track on the album for me. What was your last key track, Derek?
My last key track has got to be Juvy Jeans. This one kind of reminded me of Pooh Hole with real fuzzy guitars, pounding drums. Once again, just a lot of energy. Excuse me. And one thing I really liked about it, the song kind of talks about being younger and trying to want to go out, and but then being not caring, but then being all concerned with what you're gonna wear, which of course is Juvy Jeans. But I just thought the energy and kind of these the lyrics and storytelling there was kind of cool. Enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, that was definitely a high energy track. It also reminded me of Pooh Hole and the way he was kind of singing, his little vocal style there. So yes, which takes us to best lyric. Mine is from Wall Walker. Really good rhyme scheme here. It says, "You saw me reading a Bible. I caught you dead on arrival. I hit the wall with my rifle. I'm just shooting for survival." Really tight, economical lyrics there. Every one of them rhyming and telling this nice little story there with Wall Walker. What about you, Derek?
My best lyric came from one of your key tracks, Forbidden Fruit. But he says, "Booze everywhere, it's going to be a party. Don't act too hard, you got to fit in. Ask everywhere, but I don't know what to. I don't know what to wear."
You don't know. Go on.
I was just kind of answering the question there. I'm assuming it would be Juvy Jeans.
Hopefully so. I don't know what those are either, but we will also look for an answer there for you guys for next week, in addition to the one-way tickler. All right, overall rating. I am going with a 4 out of 5. This one really kind of snuck up on me after the first listen or two. I was kind of indifferent, but it's a nice little sleeper album, and I love the way they blend this old-school surf rock with the new school garage and punk, and even some of these like Teen Idol doo-woppy vibes and sounds. And like I mentioned earlier, sometimes they go a little bit too far into the real wholesome 50s Leave It to Beaver vibe, but it does provide a nice variation juxtaposed against the dirtier, edgier, rougher stuff, which I myself prefer. And yeah, also another note, the songs are all super short. There's one that's over 3 minutes long, and that honestly didn't dawn on me until I looked at the track times around the third or fourth time I'd listened, and I was really surprised because they don't feel short, and they never get old, obviously, because they are brief. But what they do in those 2.5, 2 minutes is pack a really tight punch into every song to create some really strong tracks. So 4 out of 5. What do you got, Derek?
I give 3 out of 5. I don't know, sometimes it just didn't catch me, and then almost at times the album would be over, I'd be like, whoa, that was it? But I think that goes back to a lot of, which you mentioned, the very short duration of many of the tracks. But at the same time, exactly as you said, they do pack so much into every track that it's almost like you don't realize they're so short until you're through with the album. It's like, wow, that's it? But I think there's a lot of quality there, as you mentioned. But at the end of the day, I was giving it 3. But overall, solid album, and definitely band to kind of keep an eye on.
Definitely. All right, kids, there you have it. Semi-Sweet by Tijuana Panthers. Check them out. Let us know what you think, and check us out next week for your next edition of last week's album. I am Kevin.
I'm Derek.
And we are Last Week's Album, signing off, talking about good music.